Order. Notice the meeting was properly posted on March 10th, 2025. Our first item is approval of minutes from our last meeting of March 4th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Paul, you missed a very important vote.
Which one was it?
Minutes, did you have anything? You can open it. Item number 2 is our BET watch list. Is there anything that needs to be discussed on our watch list? No, I don't have anything. Seeing none, we'll take no action on item number 2. And our third item will be an update from John on employees' benefits.
Just a quick update. This is through tomorrow's BOCC meeting. So that is pretty current. Overall medical, we're 2% under, same time last fiscal year, 240,000 less. Prescription claims, down up just a little bit, 3%, 233,000. When you net both those out, we're 7,000 under what we were same time last fiscal year. We're doing well on that. Overall, if you factor in reimbursements, we're about 2% up, a little bit less money in the door due to refunds and COVID. Overall, the plan is running exceptional.
Is it still a little too early to know about the county pharmacy impact?
Well, yeah, let me give an update on that. So we have about 1 month of data. So we've been we started in February, kind of in the infancy of it, but we processed about $100,000 worth of prescription drugs our first month. So it's very strong, keeping the pharmacy very busy. Hope to at least triple that in a year if we can. That would be huge. Just gaining some credibility with the pharmacy in terms of data we need to be able to purchase drugs at a cheaper cost. Most of the big manufacturers will require a check to be in business 6 months and produce X amount of dollars in revenue. So once we get that, we can go to some of these manufacturers and get a lower price on some of the expensive medications.
So you're wanting to triple it before the end of the fiscal year?
Not now. Yeah, at least 12 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but right now, $100,000 is a lot of volume for them.
Okay.
You know, for the first month. So
What is the X amount from the manufacturers? Does it vary? The X amount required by the manufacturers?
No, the main one, I think it's about $100,000 a month volume. You have to be in business 6 months. So now on some of those drugs, we're talking about a $300 price to difference per drug. So it's huge. So we're going through state contracts. We're going through some of the cheapest suppliers on the generics, but some of those medications, of course, they keep them protected. They get enough volume, and about after 6 months, we should be able to reach that volume, be able to purchase those directly. Most of those GLP-1s, if you remember GLP-1s, Ozempic, Wegovy, all those increased our spend $3.5 million. You know, and so we're trying to target those more after 6 months. Of course, we're getting prescription for those now, but we'll be able to get cheaper pricing, which means overall better profit for us.
That's great.
Are you pretty well pleased with the participation?
It's been keeping them busy.
That's good. As it increases, do you anticipate the need for additional
No,
employees or anything?
we have kind of that built in just in case. We have some standby part-time pharmacists that fill in as needed anyways. So we have those kind of on the payroll, and we have those budgeted. And then we pay a little extra money for a service just in case we need emergency pharmacists to keep the doors open. So I think we can do more volume with what the staff we have.
So John, employees access their scripts either by picking it up there or mail, right? Do they ever deliver here?
Not yet.
They will bring it out to your car.
Yeah, they will bring it up to call.
Yes, I figured that.
They're over at Juvenile.
Yep. Yeah, they're on the 3rd floor, and
That's nice.
I went up there, and she was so nice. She was like, "Oh, well, next time call, and we'll just bring it out to your car, so you don't have to go through security." I mean, my badge worked, and I would presume that would be the case with most everybody. But if it didn't, and save you from going through security, you can just wait out.
That's nice.
So more to come as it develops. We only have a month right now data to kind of experience, but look, it just keeps growing. Every day it keeps growing. So
And you can, on the mail, if you tell them you want everything by mail, it's automatic. You don't even have to call that in. They'll just check a box to get everything in the mail, which is cool.
Great news.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
We have a
Good job.
motion to receive the update.
You as chair, you just get that part of it.
Awesome. The power. All right, item number 4, this and item 5 are our recurring items to get us through budget season. Item 4 has to deal with scheduling our department meetings. I don't know if we need any action on this unless anyone wants to discuss anything or has a motion. Obviously, we'll set a set schedule, I'm thinking on the April 8th meeting. My only comment on this would just be to try to keep that next full week open, so that's that April 14th to the 16th. Those 3 days might be our first target dates.
April 8th through the what? Sorry.
No. We'll set the schedule at our next meeting, April 8th. But I was just kind of putting it out there, maybe that looking at that first April 14th to the 16th, but we're not voting on it.
Correct. I'm
We'll
just
wait.
making a note for myself to remember. Thank you.
Might be our first 3 good sets of dates. Is there any discussion? Anything to add?
Well, that sounds good.
Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5. Again, it's a companion item. We're not really, where we're reviewing the budgets yet. They haven't been presented to us, and we don't really have a revenue or can make anything on a recommendation. Anything on this item? We'll move on. No action on 5. Item 6, this has been on here for a while. We deferred this from our regular meeting on February 11th. I think the discussion was a little bit of kind of waiting on some RFPs. And then from what I thought, I heard the comments say they were thinking late March. So if anyone has an update, if they know anything on the RFPs, but again, any other comments? They're not? Oh, I thought you were saying the RFPs aren't on the trust.
No, he said he would.
Yeah, okay.
I've been to the last president, I wasn't.
Anything else on item 6? Seeing none, we'll move on. No action. Item 7, this is a recurring item. Jason, did we kind of nail this
In
down?
case somebody, since the last meeting. Well, that's what happens when you pound on it.
Our flat budget will be determined when we see our revenues. So our flat budget's either July 1 of last year, September supplemental last year, or current budget. Until we see those revenues, we'll tackle it together. All right, seeing nothing else on item 7, no action, we'll move on to item 8. Jason,
Yeah, same on this.
Same?
Yeah.
Now on 7 and 8, do you want to keep those on there? Or are we feeling pretty good about estimating these?
I think
ones?
we're good right now, unless Chantel knows anything differently, and if we need to get back on there, we can.
I think we're go okay on the forms and how that's working out. Let everyone else tell you too. I think we're okay right now.
Have you had issues from anyone regarding formulas or anything and corrections on all this?
I have a couple questions.
You're being honored.
In the last 24 hours?
Most I think we've been able to work through. I still have a few offices I need to.
Okay.
Jason, this being your item, would you like to keep it on there
We can just put it on there if it's needed.
or so strike it for today?
Yeah, for a day, sure.
Is that a motion?
Well, I don't know that you need a motion, don't ask me, because I think we have motions, but if people feel better, go ahead.
Do you have motion sickness?
I do get it, actually.
All right.
Well, if you want it off the agenda, we have
Okay.
motion to strike.
Second.
All right.
All in favor?
Oh, wait, are you ready now? Awesome. Take
Just
over.
helping.
I lost the power as soon as that happened. All right, we're striking item 8. All in favor?
Good job.
All right. Our last item on the agenda is item 9. This has been on a couple times. I know it was kind of left with still waiting to see how many offices are interested, and I think the main focus was to try to get the county clerk's office.
Right, since that happened, that's why I put it on the agenda again.
Yeah, that's happened.
You wanna talk on your part with that?
Might let Amber do it. And I know Amber sat through the demonstration and talked about numbers. I think there's a module that we have in Munis that costs something like $40,000.
Right.
And once the GIS piece that Tim has talked about is implemented, I think it's $70,000 first year, unless they can do it past subsequent years, it's 30 something thousand. So it could be a savings, and it wouldn't really be duplicating anything, is my understanding. So now that I've said that, correct anything I said that was wrong and run with that. I don't know, Amber, if you want to add to that. And,
Just a
Tim
little.
Barris. Okay.
I know there was some concern and maybe some misunderstanding about whether this would feed into our current capital assets module, which it does not, but for the clerk's office interest, that's fine. They will run this simultaneously, which is, something that offices have done in the past. And at the end of the day, they will use this to match our master records. So as long as it's understood that nothing running outside of Munis is considered the master record, then for auditory purposes, all of that is fine.
So would this be a double entry? Because if that API feature doesn't work.
For departments, yes. They still have to submit all capital assets to the clerk's office. But we would, at some point, depending on, I don't know if Tim was able to reach out to Keith for facilities. I'm not really sure who's using work orders in Munis right now, but that module would be replaced eventually. And all of that information would be, put into the Novate software.
And how much do we spend for that module on Muse?
That singular module, which is work orders, fleet management and facilities, is 40,000.
And something that we've kind of come to the conclusion to is that District 3 and Emergency Management are the two offices that have been outspoken about wanting to be involved in this. Those are the two that we would go ahead and get implemented first. And as time comes, more people can come into the software as well that want to come into the software. We're not trying to push people completely into this. We want to stay one way or the other. What this does is it helps with their road inventory that they have out there to be able to help score, help do 811s. It also can help us do anything that we want to do with the orders, as we're saying. And I truly believe that it can redefine how we do our process as well. We get anything that's done paper and then we turn digital. And we can start doing more digital. Don't know how that impacts with statutes, but there could be more digital aspects of things, saving paper, saving time there, and saving money.
Tim, can I ask you a question? If there's two definite that are gonna start first, this initial cost, if all of us had jumped on board, would the initial cost still be the same?
It would have probably been a little bit more, but I wouldn't have probably had everybody doing an implementation process, because what's happening is in this contract that you see before you, there is training involved for both Gabe and I to be the admins of this software, and they also teach us in that time how to implement. Now, granted, we have to understand how to do the matrices of everything and get the database up and running, but that's something Gabe and I are comfortable with because that is our day-to-day job.
So our initial year, it is higher, but the 40 Munis we'd still be paying, and then we'd be about 36,000 a year after the first year.
I think it's 30, 31, 32, somewhere in that 31.5, I think. I can't.
We're not replacing, it will be an added.
It will be an added cost. Because that's the thing is, if people still want to be in Munis, I'm not forcing them out of Munis.
So
I just know that this would be beneficial to a county-wide approach too, because eventually, if there's another thing, we can spend an extra $10,000 on this as well and get the other part of their process that opens up the county portal, which I know that I talked with the assessor's office about that.
So right now, as it stands, it's District 3 and
Emergency management.
emergency management.
And if I can get a audience with Keith Monroe or with facilities, I really do believe that work orders could be done with this as well in the same program.
But we have something that currently works.
Correct.
in
For the facilities management portion.
this.
It's just not as helpful for the district.
So what I'm wondering, Paul, is this on here because you guys are wanting general fund dollars to do this?
It was put on
Ideally, if there was enough interest amongst the county, then yes, we were looking at doing general fund dollars. If there's not any interest, we're willing to do it ourselves out of our money.
Out of your money being highway cash?
Highway cash.
And
that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, and we originally were going to do that because it was just the districts involved, and that's where Cody Compton kind of asked if we would bring it before, because I know that the assessor's office has some use case that they would like to use it for in the future, as well as possibility for other offices, especially emergency management. Them specifically, if we go highway cash, they won't be able to use this because it would be solely based off of District 3's discretion since they're spending their highway cash.
Or you could do a prorated share of that, right?
If they have funding for it, if they have funding. Because
to something you said earlier, I think Christy asked if everybody jumped on board, what would the cost be? So what would we look at if we were doing this countywide?
Countywide, it's 77.
Okay.
That's for year one, but that's with 2 implementations. So that means that it's about, I think, $5,000 to $7,000 to implement a department. So the implementations that we're doing are for District 3 and emergency management currently. But the people that I know that want to get in with it, like the assessor's office, aren't a big implementation because we're not having to go back and get a lot of past records because we're starting fresh with something brand new. I know that I talked with the sheriff's department time and time again about some ways that I think that they could use it, but one big one for them is the able commission. They have to go and inspect able commission, see if they're overserving, underserving. We can have it on their laptops right there, ready to go, where they drive to a certain area, they can see where they're at on the map, they can then click on that dot and they can see how that liquor license has either followed the law or broke the law in the past. And it's a database right there in front of them to be able to follow.
So it's an additional 5 to 7
Per
per department after the first 2.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes. If they want to be implemented by Nevada's.
Yes.
But Nevada's is also teaching Dave and I how to do this implementation process so we can do it for free.
Oh.
I got you.
So when you say after the first year, it's 31,000.
Yes.
Is that just for 2 or is that?
No, that is for the entire county. How they do their billing is based off a population of unincorporated areas. And they actually just redid their stuff and it actually said this stuff on too.
Why they go that route?
Are you currently using the MUNA system for some of this purpose now, or is it just somewhat difficult to work with? That it's
difficult to work with. Yeah,
So-
we're ready to go to the bottom.
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
kind of what I understood was that it's not really fulfilling the needs of what you guys are trying to do. So
And just another side point, it does what we call scoring in this system. That's what Nevada's calls it. And I know that I think that Keith, there is a planning that we go through to get the road scores for each project or for each road segment that we have. We get those how good the road quality is. Yeah. This system does that automatically based off of previous work that we do to it. So say you go out and you just do a patch on the road, it's going to see you did that patch and it's going to raise that score from 75 to an 80 based off of the information we give it. So we can determine how much we think that road.
That also helps us in planning purposes, looking at a 5-year.
Pavement management does that same thing, right? Based upon the information and the data that you
Doesn't do the
in
scoring.
pavement management, it does the same thing.
I don't think it does the scoring.
I mean, you have all that information captured, so you can go in.
We can go in and we can make that. What I'm talking about is we can make that matricing, that database to be able to put the scoring into this. So it automatically captures that, and we don't have to go out and get a.
But then you have to go in and put forth all of the information on every single road and front load all the information.
You're already doing that because we're going to go in with the implementation process. We're going in and grabbing all historic stuff and putting it in per road, per segment, per probably mile, I would imagine, is what you guys are probably going to do. And we'll separate all that. So you'll see a mile of the road, you know, let's say, you know, Council Road from, you know, Hefner to Rockwell or Does that work? I don't know if that works. No, that doesn't work.
A mile
Council
road.
from, yeah, a mile road. But I'm trying to use the area that I used to live in, but I can't even remember it. It's been too long. But you use that mile of road, you go in and you completely redo it. It's going to obviously rate it 100% after that. Then after a couple of years, it's going to start going down by how much we determine through these matrices. We'll build that matrice out. We can either do that. We actually talked with Nevadics. They will help us build that out if we want them to, or we can build it out ourselves based off the information that you have. Obviously, you guys have that information from, I think, the planning department. I think does that. And then we don't have to go out and do that contract anymore if we don't want to, if we're finding out, hey, this is actually matching up really well. That's just a possibility.
And then if another department wants to come in with that, then we would just see that expectation of the implementation of 775.
If you want Nevadics to do it, if you want Nevadics to do it, if you want Gabe and I to do it, it will be completely free.
And I'm just thinking from our standpoint, you're saying it's going to start from scratch. There's really nothing
There's nothing to
bring into it. Starting from scratch.
To where I think that, like, for instance, with you guys, I truthfully believe that we could do a piece for you for TRCs to work in conjunction with the treasurer's office. Because you guys are doing stacks and stacks and stacks of paper. If we can make that a digital process to where it starts with your GIS text, they have to do that correction for the TRC. It goes to your TRC correspondent. They make certain to check everything digitally. Then it goes to a Dropbox in the treasurer's office, whoever the treasurer's office deems, and then it can go to the BOE to be displayed on TV here rather than having to have stacks and stacks and stacks of paper. And they have the ability to do digital signatures and everything right there that we can do out of the box. That's just one implementation that I see coming from the assessor's office doing that work in conjunction with the treasurer's office. It doesn't have to be done that way, but that's just a use case that I can think of off the top of my head.
And how would that maybe help the court clerk?
Court clerk could
ticketing issues.
Court clerk could use it for ticketing if we can get an audience with the state. We have to get an audience with the state to make certain that they are able to use a SaaS software, solutions as a service software that this is. Because this is not downloading anything to their computers, so it shouldn't really affect that. But we do need to talk to the state to figure that out. And I've been asking to get an audience with the state, but it's, trying to get an audience sometimes can be a little bit hard. So.
What's your spin up time? Like, do District 3?
We haven't really gotten to the nitty gritty of that yet. I would imagine it would take us about a month or two to get them fully implemented.
So per department, let's say you get District 3 emergency management, and you guys, whoever wants to jump on board, how long does it take to implement?
How long would it take to implement all of them?
Yeah, to spin it up.
I would, just between the two of us, I would imagine that we would have Nevadics helping with the other two, and then Gabe and I can tackle the other two or the other people that want to come in. And so I wouldn't imagine it would take us too long after training to get the assessor's office on board. I would imagine that would only take about a month at most. It just depends on how much you want to build out. That's, again, this thing is, it's a blank canvas to where we can do a lot of work. We even had a conversation with Augie and with Jeff Lacey. They were down here when we had the meeting with Amber, and they will even give us access to the database, which is SQL, so we can get database level admin, anything that we need to do, and we can go in there and do those edits that we need to do to it, which is not very common these days with companies.
Paul, are you looking at this starting next fiscal year? Or are you wanting to, you're wanting to go now, right?
We're pretty good.
With the portion
But we
of
can,
the
if
77.
necessary, it could wait till next fiscal year. That's what your question is.
I was just asking
But
the
we are ready to
timing.
go now. We need to.
Is a portion of the 77, is that an annual figure, or would it be lower since we're not gonna implement it?
prorated?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you
So
know that?
31 is for the price that it is right now. It would start an annual subscription, I would imagine, right when we sign the contract.
Right.
So then the contract
31
would be
of
up
that
again at
77
that time.
is like the
31 is the
others,
annual.
the implementation.
Yeah. So it's like basically a one-time fee. After 31 is a one-time fee for implementation and like the startup and everything like hosting. We're going cloud hosting, so it's 5,000 fee right there. But
So the contract, can we go ahead and can we go ahead and do an annual fee of 31 and part of the 77 if it's really an annual, not cutting off at the fiscal year?
That's
That's my question. Do you understand my question?
Yeah, it just depends on when we start. As far as District 3 is concerned, if it's easier for everybody, and
I'm thinking
if
the
everybody
contract.
wants to do
But
it.
you'd have to do a contract for so many months.
Correct.
and then-
Correct, but if it's easier, if it's gonna be countywide implementation, and we have enough departments that wanna do that, we don't have a problem waiting until the fiscal year to get it started, but that's up to you guys.
That's up to DET to make that decision.
It's really not. You just recommend.
Hey, Paul, I think I'd like to visit with maybe you or have Brian visit some more with you about this. I'm intrigued. If Cody's been involved in those discussions, I haven't been brought up to speed, so.
He's only had
We had
individual
one-
discussions
We
with
had that
everybody.
one day. Come out, Texas very involved.
Texas, okay.
Yes, Texas is very involved in this as well. He saw it out at the UC last year in July, the trade user conference.
Okay.
And so he's very involved in it. He really likes it. He thinks that it'd be beneficial for y'all as well.
Well, let me double check
Yeah.
with Brian
Yeah.
too then, because
Tex was the one that came in and watched it. I do believe Brian was there as well, and I know Cody was there. And you were busy that day, I do believe. Back in when we initially sat down to look at all this, because you popped in for a second and had to go to a meeting. So
So Christie, would you then recommend that we defer this until we get a chance to
If that's your
speak?
motion.
because I will let you know though, since it is, you guys don't want to see each other's data whenever we do go into this. So we're talking about adding a little bit more to get you implemented if you do come into it. Because we do want to go in and grab all of your stuff, so it would be about another $5,000 to $7,000.
Because of the
Probably.
two districts,
Because you guys,
so
you
that would
don't,
be the
yeah,
same for us too.
exactly. You don't want to see what they see.
Mhm.
You just want to see your stuff. So that's where I did have that conversation with them, and they think that if you don't want to see their stuff,
Mhm.
like if you don't mind seeing everybody's stuff, then we could probably put a filter on it to where you wouldn't see it. Like eventually you wouldn't see it, or after we put that filter on it. But if you don't want District 2 to, District 2 to see District 3 stuff and vice versa, or make edits, because you guys would technically be able to edit, I don't think you want that. So they would look at you as another diversion,
Sure.
or a
Sure.
division.
Right.
So I will let you know that. I don't want that to be like sneaking up on us, being like, well, why is it $9,000 more expensive, right here? And so I will that is one of the conversations I did have. That was a fun one on Friday.
So I'm okay with that then. So my motion would be to defer to the next meeting until we get the chance to meet the other districts.
thank you.
We have a motion.
Yeah.
Betsy, do you have a second? All in favor? Aye.
Well, thank you, Christy.
Look how efficient.
Exactly.
All right, any citizen participation? Hearing and seeing none, we got board comments. Randy, you wanna go?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you. Oh, Chantel.
She's a busy girl.
She is?
Jason, you have anything? Paul? I'll wait till the end for it. Right. I have two quick comments. At our February 11th meeting, I had on an informational where we were talking about adding money to the resale budget, and that I was going to take it to budget board. That is not going to happen now because through the current estimated needs stuff we're going through, we realized that there was quite a bit of stuff that we should have had appropriated in September that wasn't. So we will not be short, and that's good news. So,
Wow.
since I had made an actual presentation, had an agenda item, it won't be needed. So
That's
I
big.
will make one comment that at least the BOCC departments presented today for P&G, and just to let everybody know, for the most part, everything was relatively flat.
yeah, got to watch some of that.
So it's good.
My last comment is just kind of a look forward to our next regular meeting, April 8th. just kind of anticipating having revenues to look over and approve. We'll have hopefully have the estimate forms, and then set those presentation meetings. We want to stay on track. That's what we got.
Talking like in a book form.
I think that's the goal.
Budget book.
I mean, that's all I have. Anyone else? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn? So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.